Had a lot of good conversation about how to adapt and how to change after. And I mean, even before we sat down, I was talking to you a little bit about how I think when I was done, I was just going so hard in the gym, and I forgot that, I might not have to do that anymore. I've really simmered down. I'm in law school now, and it's not as much of a priority for me to push myself to feel beyond tired all the time. And I think that's really important. I was teaching spin. I would work out like 2 or 3 times a day, which is not necessary. And sometimes it's hard to adjust from that mindset. Like you were a gymnast, you do it all day, every day. And then when you're done, you want to keep doing that. But just over time, I've noticed that I want to do more that's better for my body and not going to push it to its limits anymore. Right. And more like walking on the treadmill, the 12-3-30 that everyone talks about, more soft workouts that feel good, stretching, yoga. My friend PJ is a yoga instructor. She's helped me a lot. She's shown me different things, just stretching and taking care of yourself. So that's been a big adjustment since we talked last.
Yeah. I think the main reason that we had you on in the first place was because you were really speaking up about that type of stuff, and I think on social media more so, like with your Instagram. I mean, I remember some different reels here and there talking about, how you don't need to go from, working out 3 times a day or all day long to then continuing to do that while also having to do things like work and school and all that type of stuff. And so it's a conversation that needs to happen more that doesn't happen enough.
I completely agree. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to happen while you're at school. And even, like I was telling you too, I still have involvement with Pitt Athletics now. And I definitely, once my first year of law school is done, I want to try to insert myself more with the life skills department and talk about adjustments and even prepping people for adjustments, because it's hard and it's mentally confusing and challenging. And I think that no one's ready for it because it's been your whole life. And then you were like, oh, now I'm a human. Like I have other aspects than just being a gymnast. And I have other aspects than just being a soccer player. Like you have different priorities. Like now I've adjusted to law school and that's my main priority. And the gym comes second. My whole life it came first. So it's just a mindset shift. But I think it needs to be talked about while you're still there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've talked about your transition, and I think yours maybe was a little bit like mine in the sense of what you knew it was coming. I mean, we've talked about how you didn't know it was coming next. You didn't know what you were doing, but there wasn't a lot of lag time between the transition, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had gotten out of diving halfway through my college career because I was a little bit burned out because I'd been a gymnast since I was 4. Yep, and it's an all year, and it's an all year round sport where you don't really take a break. And I didn't get the opportunity to try a lot of other sports, like seasonal sports.
You can't have time. Yeah,
you can't. And like if you're a high level gymnast, like that's kind of your only sport. Like some people can try to do other stuff, but they don't really do it. And I had stopped diving intentionally because I was feeling so just overwhelmingly done. And collegiately, like it was at a harder level than I'd ever been at. And I just needed to do something different. So I joined the military to switch. But so I kept like a level of athleticism and purpose and like new focus like very quickly, where some people, if you end your time in collegiate sports, you're kind of like done and off to real life. And then like, it's very weird.
Yes.
So I fortunately kind of put myself in a position to like work on something new quickly with a lot of the similar skill sets of like competition and like physical stuff
structure
and
too.
Structure. Yeah. And it kind of helped me,
Yeah. So I think interesting hearing you talk about getting more involved in Pitt Athletics, and there is the, what's it called? The mentorship thing that they do. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. They do like a mentee and a mentorship.
Yeah.
Like with, I know it's more with the career paths for people because I think I'm involved in it. I don't have a mentee right now, but I'm like somehow involved. I get the emails, but it would be nice if that was focused like also on career, but also pathways after, because that goes hand in hand with your career.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm in the same boat. Like I was reached out to and I agreed to do it. And then the player that I was supposed to have, I think ended up transferring or something.
Yeah.
So
Well, also I feel bad for, how it is being a college athlete. Like you feel like you don't have time. So sometimes you don't prioritize going to see like a mentor that it would benefit you. Like us looking back at it would benefit. But if I had something else added to my schedule as an athlete, I'd be like, ugh, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so they
it's not-
probably don't know what they're missing out on if they
No.
didn't get the opportunity to try it.
yeah,
and
it's not a high priority
have
thing.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should, like I said, I haven't done it yet, but it is going to be a goal of mine when school isn't as intense as it is in your first year. So, or even over the summer while I'm working, I think that would be a good thing to step into. And that would be a good program to utilize to talk to athletes about transitioning, especially because we're the people that have gone through it, still going through it, still adjusting. And I think it's really important. That one-on-one time would be good.
Actually leads me to my next question. So you've been out now for, well, you're 2 years younger than me. So how many years has it been since you graduated?
I graduated in 2020. So
Okay. So like almost 4 years.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody that's like maybe in their senior year and they know they're not continuing with the sport they're playing, having been out now as long as you have? What would you do, or what would you tell somebody to make that transition easier?
Good question. I feel like that's a loaded question, but something we've all been thinking about. I feel like you. I think the first thing I would say is to be patient with yourself and understand that your mind is going to feel weird and you're not going to feel comfortable. Like you said, you had that structure to go directly to, which is great. Not everyone is going to have that, and not everyone is going to set themselves up to have that, which I think if you could have the opportunity, that would be my first advice is like, you're going to have a career most likely when you graduate. How are you going to structure your day to make yourself feel normal and regulated and all right? Because like mine was a little different because COVID happened as soon as I graduated and I started working from home. So my schedule was a little weird at first, but now that it's been 4 years and life is all back to normal and everything, having a structure has been so important to me because I feed off of discipline. That's when I'm my best. I love being busy. Like anyone who knows me personally, like all I do is just bounce around and do stuff all day. But that's when I thrive and I'm okay with that. I think when a sport is taken away from you that takes up your whole life, you need to fill that void with other things that make you happy. And it's okay if it's frustrating. Like, we're all perfectionists. I feel like when you're an athlete, you want everything to just be smooth and you want to be great at it. You have to adjust to living differently. So patience probably would be my best advice.
No, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, you're not going to figure, it's like anything with starting anything new. And, I have these conversations with my clients where they're just getting into the gym for the first time and they want everything to be perfect in day one. Like doesn't work like that.
Practice.
Yeah, it takes
Same
a lot
thing.
of time. It's trial and error.
How long does it take to learn a skill in gymnastics? How long does it take to learn a life skill? It's going to be the same thing. It's comparable. It's just you have to practice what's going to work for you.
Yeah, I think that's true. And finding a way to set up your own schedule is a little hard. So I encourage people fortunately, if you're coming from a sport, you can find another athletic endeavor for fun that can get you in the door.
Yep.
Just to get you in the door. Mm-hmm. Like just try something that you might not have done. Like I never thought I'd be climbing. Yep. Now that I've done it, I'm like, wow, if they had this when I was a kid, I think I would have quit gymnastics and done this.
Yes, I love that.
Because I like it so much.
Mm-hmm.